Good morning, everybody. John Bergsma here on the shores of Lake Huron in Tawas, Michigan. You're in for a fantastic walleye show today. Stay tuned. It's crazy, crazy, beautiful weather. Half a crawler. Make sure you get that right up top. Take that second hook and then stretch that crawler out. And that's how it should lay, right like that. We're just using small blades here because we're structure fishing for walleyes right now. We're fishing in about 18, 19 feet on rock off of the Charity Island structure. We're trolling from the shallow to the deeper, and basically we're just trying to impact fish that are moving on this shoal right now. We can move to the deeper water later in the day. I'm using my Motor Guide XI5 right now on autopilot with my key fob, and what's really important about this tool is if you're in a big water troller, you absolutely have to have an autopilot trolling motor that's controllable with a remote control from the back of the boat, because all of this is going to happen today in the back of the boat. And we're setting our speed real precisely, and I've got a nice reading on my Lowrance, and what we're really trying to do is accomplish getting the speed right so that we don't hook up on the bottom. You know, if you're going to try to come out and fish and mimic what Mike and I did today in the boat, it's really important that you understand just a few of the basics of trolling, spinner harnesses, and night crawlers. And for us, it's about consistent speed and consistent leads out with the same weights. And we used today 2-ounce bottom bouncers, and we let them out 20 to 30 feet back, and we trolled about 1.2 to 1.3 miles an hour. And what that accomplished for us is that those spinners were ticking bottom in about 15 feet of water, and as we slid out the break, meaning getting deeper, rather than pull the boards in and let out more line, we simply slowed the boat down, which caused the spinners to sink deeper because we were going slower. And we used speed as our depth control agent, so to speak. It's a beautiful little fish.
A wiggly walleye.
A wiggly walleye. Hit the front hook hard. Beautiful eater, and we're going to save this fish for Chef Grant for the end of the day recipe. But we're going to practice a little selective harvest today because we're pretty sure we're going to catch some really nice fish. But nice spinner fish, structure walleye, Saginaw Bay. Let's introduce our guest today. Mike Vane is a charter captain here out of Au Gres on Saginaw Bay. Mike, explain the concept of what you're doing here today to the folks.
Well, we're fishing up here north of the Big Charity Island, and these walleyes are spread out along these shallow shoal areas and then out into the humps and bumps to the north of us. And they're feeding on gobies mainly. And so we are going to be fishing with our lures right down near the bottom and doing things that will imitate a goby, or at least entice them where they're feeding on the goby in the same water zone. And we're just running spinner crawler rigs using bottom bouncers. Not fishing right on bottom because it's a very rocky bottom here, so we're just putting the lures up off bottom a few feet above the rocks, skimming them across there. The fish see them, they swim up, they grab it, and catch them.
What's the critical speed, would you say, Mike, that you should be looking for when you're fishing bottom bouncers, open water rigs like this?
Because we're over a rocky bottom, we don't want to go too slow, because if you go too slow, your lures will sink to the bottom and they'll snag, and that's no good. It just wastes time and gets us off the fish. So we're just going to try to keep the speed at just the right amount to keep the lures, so if they do contact the bottom, they'll skip off rocks and not drag into them and snag. So a little faster speed at 1.5 plus is going to be essential. And also we'll use that speed to adjust the depth that the lures are running. If we get a little deeper, we'll slow down so the lures sink closer to the bottom. If we come up onto a hump, we can speed up a little bit and the lures will rise up.
So that it's almost like lead core fishing with bottom bouncers, right? Because you speed up the same thing with lead core. The line, because of water resistance, will rise up.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. That's a real nice fish. Well, Michael.
Probably 21 or 2 inches long.
Beautiful fish. That's a really nice fish. What, 21, 22? Fat? and really didn't hit that very strong. He had the back hook in his mouth, you know, which was like you and I have talked about before. When they got the front hook, Mike, when they have the front hook in their mouth, then they're slamming it. This fish didn't have the front hook, he had the back hook in his mouth. So that tells us that, you know, maybe we won't go as fast. We'll slow down. This fish hit in a little deeper water when we had already slowed down, so, and he still didn't take it that strong, but hey, second fish, that's a good start. Yeah, what we're doing, one of the critical factors of what we're doing today, and anytime you're fishing these open water fish, is you really need to have a line counter reel. You need to be able to know exactly how far out your sets are. Not only for your original depth when you're setting it in the zone for the fish, but also for when you're setting up, you know, to be out in a spread. I know that right now I'm letting 40 feet out to the board, and then my outside board is at 130, my next board in is at 95, and my inside board is at 70. And that makes it really easy to be able to catch a fish on the middle rod and be able to put that board and rod right back in line without having to guess and risk tangles. And this is one of the cool things about these flat lines, is that you're able to, Mike, you're able to just test and play and make sure your depth is established, but they also produce, don't they?
Definitely do, just as much as off the board. As long as the water's not too clear, they'll hit just as well.
Oh, that's a nice walleye right there. Oh, fish is off too, beautiful. There you go, Mike. That's a real nice fish. That's a beautiful fish.
Probably another 21 inch or so.
Perfect eating fish. And you got one on your outside board, and I got one right here. It's crazy. And right now we're in 22.9 feet of water because Mike's got one on too. I'm going to show you the technique for taking these boards off. You just hold the rod steady, pop the back, and these offshore boards with these gator clips have got that nice flip. You're able to just pop the board off. Remember to keep tension, then go ahead and reel down and around to the fish. And yep, for sure, we got another fish right here. It's a nice walleye again. Yeah. And that's kind of the way it goes, isn't it? You get in pods of fish. There's another nice eater. Possibly one of the best walleye fisheries in the country.
I think it is the best. I fish on Lake Erie too as well. And Erie has, you know, the best trophy fishery in the world. There's no way going to deny that. But as far as getting us lots of walleyes go, all different sizes, age groups and stuff, Saginaw Bay I think is number one.
And this Au Gres to Tawas region offers to me the most diversity, because you can run from Au Gres into the inner bay, and from Tawas you can, and the outer bay, and from Tawas you're accessing the big water, big fish bite, correct?
Absolutely. Right now we're probably equidistant between Tawas and Au Gres. Whoa.
Yep. These two cities offer access to numbers of fish, but quality of fish depending on what the weather allows, correct?
Absolutely. There's all kinds of options for fish. I've always said before, this area around Au Gres and Tawas has too many good spots.
Yeah.
You have to decide on where to go.
Well, check your outside board, because I think too many good spots, one of them might be on your outside board.
You got one there. You got one on your side too.
Well, I've got to check it. I think our whole set's going to end up being pulled because of fish. What I really like right now, while we get a second, is I'm using the Trax Tech products for my rod holders. And what I really like about these rod holders, this is the tree mechanism, and it allows me to stack 3 rods right next to each other. Makes it really easy for me to identify. I always know in my systems that the outside rod is going to be the furthest rod out, and that's going to be the top. The middle rod, of course, is going to be the middle, and the low rod's going to be the inside. So when things are really jumping and things are happening around you, you're not grabbing the wrong rod. Did you? Oh yeah, right here, Phil. Look at that board. Oh my gosh, that board is gone. Hopefully it's the right species. Sometimes it's not, but that board is going all over the place. But back to that rod holder system, and I got one on my inside board here now too. So it looks like we've really really not lost anything by moving.
It's not pulling like a walleye.
No, it's thrashing a little bit.
Catfish, I can see them up on the surface.
Okay, see that big cat out behind the board spinning and rolling? And that's why the board will tend to dive like that, and that'll be a good indicator to you that you don't have the right species. But I'll tell you what, it sure does make for a fun day out here when you can just catch fish.
A lot of people like catfishing.
There you go. Oh, that's a really, really nice average sized cat. See how he hit that? Just like a walleye. He took that right in and just hit it.
Getting infections and cuts too.
Look at that fish.
We're gonna throw him back.
Yep, he needs to go back to where he came from.
Great Lakes Fisherman's Digest is brought to you by Lowrance Electronics. Fish the finest. This segment is brought to you by TraxTech, the ultimate fishing system.
I've been fishing out of this area for the last 25 years, and the fishing has changed dramatically. We have variables in the ecosystem, the invasive species, which have changed the food chain and have changed the fishing. To say that it's a poor fishery, it's not. More diverse than it was 20 years ago, but poor fishery, no, we still have an excellent fishery. A variety between lake trout, steelhead, an occasional brown, Atlantic salmon, walleye. There's still plenty of fish to be had in this area. The Twin Cities, the Tawas is down here. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful area to come visit. When you start looking at what we offer natural resource-wise, we've got sailboats, power boats. You can go canoeing on the Asable River. This is a very tourist-friendly community. It offers everything when you go down to the Newman Street corridor as far as a variety of shopping, restaurants. For people to come up north, we offer everything that any tourist could possibly want.
You know, my contacts here in Tawas have been Gene Curvin in Tawas and Mike Vane over in Au Gres. And these two guys have been absolute rock solid bedrock fishermen in these two communities for years. Gene has a tremendous amount of experience of not only on the water of Lake Huron, but also on the rivers. And Mike has been a guide, a full-time guide for more than 2 decades here out of Au Gres. And he's one of the top walleye guides in the area. And our show today was all about the walleye fishing in the Charity Islands area. And it was a summer show, you know, it was a basic show, spinner fishing, night crawlers, pretty much the easiest way you can possibly present your bait. And then once the night crawler bite died a little bit, we actually went ahead and put a synthetic night crawler on, which actually, in my opinion, may have been a key to the second half of our show, to the increased bite. And that's a story for another day, but the fishing here is just second to none. Mikey, that's another nice one.
It's just a real simple spinner rig with number 3 chartreuse and orange blade with a quick change clevis, chartreuse straight float, and another bead, and then 2 number 6 bait holder hooks. Actually, there's number 4, excuse me, 4 hooks.
That's a beautiful fish. And I'm just impressed with the size. Yeah, the size, they're perfect eating fish. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier. That's what, Mike, the 3rd fish on that flat line?
Yes, they're good.
And the flat line, when we say flat line, what that means to us is that there's no board on it. We're just running it out, putting it in the rod holders and running it straight behind the boat. And that's what we're saying when we say a flat line. And I think we got a fish on the inside board, I mean the middle board there, but to finish my point, sometimes you don't have to get fancy with boards and spreads. Sometimes right behind the boat, right out of the rod holders can be the most effective way to fish. Let me show you how this TraxTech works, this system of rod holders. I've got 3 boards set out wide. I've got my outside board, my middle board, and my shallow board, my inside board here. And it makes it super easy for me to know exactly when I see a board go back, I know exactly which rod to grab. And when I'm running a flat line, which you've heard us talk about today, which are rods run out with no boards, then they go right here. This rod holder is fully adjustable. I can put it in that position all the way up, For storage, I can drop it all the way flat to the water, which is kind of what we're doing today. I'm pulling it up a click just so that the rod doesn't tip into the water and with a big wave. But that adjustability, that ability to have a set like this is critical when you're out here on the water. You could do it with a different set, but this makes it so that you never get your tips tangled together. You never have issues with your rods when you're fishing with them, especially when the boat's tossing and turning with waves like we have today. Trax Tex rod holders, they do the job. Oh yeah, beautiful fish, Mike. Another fish on. What we got here, beautiful 22-incher. We got another fish we're dragging. What we're doing here is we're fishing these on flat lines right out of the rod holder, right off the back of the boat. We're in shallow water. Like I said when we started this pass, we're going for hot fish. This is a hot fish. Mikey, you got another fish? Inside board, yeah. Inside board, go ahead and grab it, sir. I'm gonna box this one up. As you can see, we've already got the start of a really good day of walleyes here on Saginaw Bay. This is just the start of our second pass. So let's see what Mike's got on this board. Oh yeah. While Mike's bringing this fish in, you can see, guys, firsthand here, the effectiveness of this Motor Guide XI5. Mike and I are not worried, just lost it. We're not worried about boat control. Got another one on the outside board. And the outside board too.
This segment brought to you by Ely, Minnesota. On the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, Ely, one of North America's last pure wilderness experiences.
All right, we're gonna do Parmesan crusted walleye today. So to get this going, we put our Ritz crackers into a gallon bag. That way they don't go everywhere when you smash them up. Makes it a lot easier. There we go. Seal that up. Just kind of pound them to start. We're gonna put this into the bowl. Beautiful. Then we're gonna add our Parmesan. Now I got a 1/3 cup of fresh grated Parmesan. Just toss that in there. You don't want it to overpower your fish. So just mix that in. There we go. Set that off to the side. Now we have to do our egg wash. For the egg wash, I use 2 eggs and a 1/3 cup of milk. We're good on that. Now add the milk and whisk it up. All right, we have our egg wash ready now, so we're gonna go over to the stove, batter up the walleye, and get her going. All right, we're getting ready to cook our Parmesan crusted walleye. The way we know our pan is hot is we can hear the sizzle from the oil. So right when you hear that, you're ready to go on. Put it in your egg wash. Put some crumbs on it. This is our Parmesan and Ritz cracker mixture. And you always put the fish face down, so the meaty side down. That's the sizzle we want to hear. All right, they've been going about 3 minutes on this side. Flip them over. Got a nice color to them. Couple more minutes on this and we're ready to go. All right, here's our cheesy potato recipe. What you do to cook it, spray your pan with some Pam. That way it doesn't stick to the bottom. Put in your cheesy potato mixture. Flatten it out. Toss your bacon on top. You don't want to have the bacon too done, otherwise it'll burn in the oven. And Then toss your panko on top of that. It's about a half cup of panko. And you put it in the oven at 325 for 45 minutes. All right, we got our cheesy potatoes ready. We got our steamed vegetables ready. Now we got our Parmesan crusted walleye ready. Let's dig in. Doesn't this look amazing? If you're like me, this will be gone in a second. We got Parmesan crusted walleye, we got broccoli and carrots steamed up, and cheesy potatoes with bacon. What more do you want?
Another thing I love about this boat, you can get right back in this corner and you don't feel like you're falling out of the boat.
Walleye also. Nice one.
Like that with the tow hooks. I had my toe hooked under there. I stepped on the sheep head, but because I had my toe hooked under the tow hook.
That's a great feature right there. It's a nice fish.
It is a really nice feature and a really nice fish. Let me show you this fishing again. Let me show you this Uncle Josh pork crawler. Again, we're catching those fish on. And that fish hit it again, nice and hard, back hook and front hook. Uncle Josh pork crawler, really nice au gray Tawas walleye. Beautiful fish. And what I've been doing is hooking them real close to the tip because they got good resilience. You want to expose that tip of the hook. And then I'm just bending the hook a little bit and just slipping that crawler and that hook, right, just skinning it a little bit, just so the hook shows and is embedded, but it's also showing like that. That's it, right there.
Another important ingredient to that is going to be a sharp hook.
Oh yeah.
These hooks are all honed every day, and getting it through that pork rind is tough, but you want it to also penetrate into the bony mouth of a walleye good too.
Right.
So I'm always sharpening these hooks all the time. Keep it right in my pocket.
Yeah, I fished with Mike many times and he takes good care of keeping his customers on fish. Mike, awesome day on the water, eh buddy?
It always seems to be out here.
I know. If you want to enjoy some of these Saginaw Bay walleye, come to the towns of Tawas and Au Gres, the Sunrise Coast, right Mike?
That's what they call it.
That's right. For Captain Mike Vane, I'm John Bergsma, your host. You gotta come try this fishing.
Closed captioning provided by the Quality Inns of Escanaba, Manistee, and St. Ignace on US 2 and the Eastern Upper Peninsula.
Bait for smallmouth bass as well, but these little suckers will drive you crazy if you don't pay attention to your baits.